Hello Panda Warriors, and welcome to an exciting video on, you guessed it, Disney. Now if you're completely new to my channel or if you've just never seen any of my Disney videos before, I am definitely into Disney. I love Disney movies, I love Disney songs, I love everything about Disney, and I aspire to one day be a Disney princess. But this video is not an application to become a Disney princess, although that's another idea for another video. No, today I want to talk about Disney movies and how they kind of connect to each other. Now Disney likes to put little hints, little references, little things, Easter eggs in their films about whether, maybe they're past films or present films that they might be working on at the time. Some examples of this is his cameo from Sebastian in Disney's Aladdin.
Yeah, that's king crap. I hate when I do that.
As well as this very obvious reference to Lion King from Disney's Hercules.
Stuff doesn't seem to be getting me anywhere.
You can't give up now. I'm counting on you.
Now I've been watching Disney videos for a very long time, as you might have guessed. And some of these Easter eggs, I'm not entirely sure if they're Easter eggs anymore. I feel like some of the storylines, some of the things, they just kind of line up too perfectly. And I'm thinking that some of the storylines and some of the movies are just kind of starting to cross over into each other. Like one story will lead into another story, which will lead into another story, if that makes sense. So today I want to cover at least 3 of these crossovers, and I want you guys to let me know, do you think they're Easter eggs, or do you think maybe there's something more to this? Okay, so this first one is a crossover that I've seen a lot of people kind of speculate on, and this is the Frozen, the Tangled, Tarzan, and Little Mermaid crossover. The little narrative that ties all these stories together goes something like this. So in that scene from Frozen where Anna's singing, about the whole entire, how the gates are being open and how for the first time of forever she's free to do everything that she wants. If you pause it for a quick second, you can see that Eugene and Rapunzel are actually part of this scene. Now, maybe this is just an Easter egg, maybe this is just something that Disney decided to throw in as, hey, here's another Disney princess, let's put this one, let's just have them, in the scene. That's not quite what I'm thinking. My question is, why would Eugene and Rapunzel decide to come to Elsa's coronation? Maybe they have something to do with the family, maybe they're just visiting royalty. Well, Rapunzel and Eugene were willing to go over and see Elsa's coronation. Why didn't Elsa or Anna go over and see Rapunzel and Eugene get married? Unless someone else in their family maybe did. Someone, say, their parents. This crossover theory, I'm proposing that Elsa and Anna's parents were going to go see Rapunzel and Eugene's wedding when their boat crashed and they ended up getting lost at sea. Some speculate that Elsa, Anna, and Rapunzel are cousins. However, I have really nothing to back this up. However, it would make sense why the King and Queen of Arendelle would go over to see Rapunzel's wedding, other than the fact that she was just other royalty, if she was, in fact, their niece. So at this point, maybe thinking, okay, Frozen, Tangled, maybe they got something in common, maybe not, who knows. But where in the world do The Little Mermaid and Tarzan fit into all this? Just be patient, I'm getting to that part. My thought is the King and Queen of Arendelle didn't exactly die in that ship accident. Yes, the ship went down, yes, it was lost in the storm, but I don't exactly think that they died on that ship. Segueing into Tarzan, at the beginning of Tarzan, we see a man and a woman and a small child. Now, it might be just me, but in my opinion, the King and Queen of Arendelle and these parents of Tarzan at the very beginning of the movie look kind of similar.
Do you have to go?
You'll be fine, Elsa.
Put your faith in what you mostly believe in. 2 worlds, one family.
Now, they aren't perfect replicas of each other, but the 2 films were made 14 years apart, so it makes sense that there would be some changes in the character design. So from here, my story goes like this. When the King and Queen of Arendelle went to Rapunzel's wedding, the Queen was pregnant. She was pregnant with a son, and this son ended up being Tarzan. Now, the ship right over to Rapunzel's wedding, the Queen ends up having the baby. Now, I'm guessing the baby was not born maybe like a little bit before they're expecting, just because, if you thought your wife was about to have a baby any moment now, I don't think you'd end up taking her on a boat ride to some faraway land so you can see your niece's wedding, but that's just my opinion. So I'm thinking that he was born maybe a little bit before he was expected to. So the storm happens, boat sinks, everyone dies, except for the King and Queen of Arendelle and their new son, Tarzan. The King and the Queen and their new son ended up getting washed up somewhere where they lived together for a while, built that house and everything happens. Unfortunately, the king and queen end up eventually getting killed by that jaguar at the beginning, that scene at the beginning of Tarzan. Tarzan is then found by that mother gorilla, Kala, and the story of Tarzan continues. Now that we've pulled Tarzan into the mix, you might be also asking, okay, Little Mermaid, where does that fit in here? Well, it doesn't fit in with any of the people, so don't worry, I'm not making some far stretch where Ariel is the second cousin twice removed of Tarzan or Anna or Elsa or Rapunzel or whatever like that. My thought is the ship that the king and queen were on when they were going to go see Rapunzel's wedding, when it sunk, it ends up becoming the ship from the Little Mermaid that Ariel's at the very beginning, finding all the treasures and human things. This concludes how I think Frozen, Tangled, Little Mermaid, and Tarzan are interlinked. This kind of segues in almost perfectly to our next Disney mashup interlinking theory. And that is the theory that there is some crossover between Tarzan and Beauty and the Beast. Don't worry, Tarzan's not the one we're trying to cross over into Beauty and the Beast at all. Actually, it's Jane. I actually heard about this theory fairly recently, and that's just kind of what inspired this video. And that is the theory that Jane is a descendant of Belle and Beauty and the Beast.
There goes the baker. What is it, Dad?
Mr. Clayton asked me not to move. He saw something.
Now, some of the indications that make people believe that Jane might be a descendant of Belle is that they look quite similar to each other and that they both like the color yellow. And while I'm not entirely sure if the color yellow and liking it means that, is a direct connection between descendants, I can definitely see the fact that they look fairly similar to each other. And I think there's a few other things that they actually share in common that other people maybe didn't notice or didn't point out. I think one of the bigger things that kind of connected the two for me was their love of adventure. Belle was always talking about how she wanted to see the world and how she loved to learn about the world that was outside of her village from her books and stuff like that. And while she never actually got to visit it, she definitely had that was definitely something that interested her, was going out and exploring the world. Now with Jane, she's actually able to go and explore the world because her father is a scientist of sorts. And even while most girls her age would be in some sort of schooling, or if they would be married off already, she's choosing to travel with her father to these exotic places with these gorillas and elephants and all this exciting stuff, which I think that sense of adventure definitely connects with Belle. Now there's a scene in Tarzan where the gorillas are trashing the camp where Jane and her father and the other guy are staying. And in the scene you see some dishes that kind of resemble that of Mrs. Potts and Chip. Maybe thinking, Amanda, Mrs. Potts and Chip got turned back into human at the end of Beauty and the Beast. There is no way that these could be the same ones. And no, I'm not saying that it is Mrs. Potts. I'm saying it looks fairly similar to Mrs. Potts. And I'm pretty sure that they had more than one tea kettle in the whole entire castle and more than one teacup in the whole entire castle. And in one of these scenes from Beauty and the Beast, you see Mrs. Potts telling Chip to go to bed with his brothers and sisters. And at the very end of Beauty and the Beast, we see that Chip and Mrs. Potts turn back into human, but we don't see any of the other children that are mentioned in that scene with Chip and Mrs. Potts, telling him to go to bed. And all these other little cups that have, you can see little eyes, they're asleep, but you can see that they have little eyes, and they can look kind of similar to Chip.
But I'm not sleepy.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
This makes me think that maybe these little cups were never actually human. They were actually just dishes that were brought to life because of the spell. And I'm sure if there was little cups, I'm sure there was also some tea kettles that looked fairly similar to Mrs. Potts that also became alive at the time, but were turned back into just normal. And one of these tea sets that looked surprisingly like Mrs. Potts and Chip ended up getting kind of handed down from family to family. Beauty and the Beast had kids, and then their kids have kids, and their kids have kids, and eventually you get down to Jane. And a tea set just makes sense for me as something that you'd hand down from generation to generation as sort of a family heirloom or of some sorts. This concludes my mashup of Beast and Tarzan. Like I said, this was one that I just heard about, so I thought it was pretty cool and kind of made me want to do this video in the first place. I have one more left that it makes sense, but I'm a little skeptical in some ways about it. Alright, this mashup includes Bambi, Beauty and the Beast, The Jungle Book, and Rescuers. I'm sure most of us know the story about Bambi, how at a young age, spoiler alert, Bambi's mother ended up getting shot by a hunter, and Bambi was left all by himself, raised by his father, and so on and so forth, becomes the king of the forest.
Bambi, quick, the thicket!
Now in all three, Beauty and the Beast, The Jungle Book, and The Rescuers, there is a scene where there is a deer either eating the grass by herself, or there is a mother deer and a fawn eating grass. Now some speculate that these might be just not any regular deer, but in fact might be Bambi and his mother. Now I don't know, this might be just Disney using the same deer model for all these different films, but it makes sense to me that at least one of these timelines must intertwine with Bambi, making these deer perhaps Bambi's mother and Bambi in the case of the rescuers. That is the end of my Disney kind of mashup timeline crossing video. I hope you guys did enjoy it. I definitely had a lot of fun with this video, trying to find all the timeline crosses, trying to find all the mashups, and just trying to see if there was any other connections I could form between different Disney movies. If you have any theories for other Disney movies that you think might cross over or might connect, let me know. I'll definitely like to check those out. Other than that, if you guys enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up in the comment section below. Let me know which of these mashups was your favorite, which ones maybe you didn't quite believe, you didn't quite get, or any other mashups, that timeline lapses that you have maybe seen throughout your experiences of watching Disney movies. And don't forget to subscribe to be informed when I upload new videos. And other than that, I will see all of you colorful people in the next video. Alright, bye!